are stored in an attribute. It is stored in one attribute called which is called as which one? Errors. It is called as errors. For example, if it is a field level, if it is a field level error, so where it is stored form object dot field name, form object dot field name dot errors. So it means this field name is having one attribute called which one? Errors. So this errors contain what? Error generated by clean method of this field. Clean method of this field. Okay, the error generated by field clean method is get stored in which attribute? Errors attribute. In the same way, this is field level error. This is field level error. In the same way, there is a form level error. So there are some errors generated at which level? Form level. And all these errors, now see, field level error is stored in errors attribute of which one? Field name. But form level means you're checking error of one field or more than one field, more than one field, more than one field. Then it is stored in one attribute called form dot. So there is one attribute called errors only, but here you don't refer with field name. You'll say non-fields. You'll say non-fields dot which one here? Errors. So this contain more than one error, but this contain only one error. This contain more than one error, but this contain only one error. Okay. So this is how you can store or you can display the error within the template. This is how you can display the error within the template. Okay. Yes. This is what we discussed yesterday. So form validations are server side validations. Validation is nothing but finding or identifying is it input data is correct or not. Identifying whether input data is correct or not, that is called as which process here? Validation process. Is it input data is correct or not? That process is called as a validation process. Okay. But how you are checking that? By populating the data, by storing the data within the form and invoking which method here is valid method. Okay. So let me tell you one example again. So let me tell you an example again with all this, how to display the errors and everything, doing validations at field level as well as what form level, right? So let me write with a simple application. So what I'm doing is, so assume that now this is some registration. Okay, this is some registration form. Okay, this is some registration form. So in this registration, you input some details. For example, this is employee form. Okay, assume that this is which form? Employee form. So what employee is having, like suppose some employee number. So EMP number, okay, employee number. Okay, so there is an employee number and employee is having employee name. Now this is a form. This is a form and this form is rendered within template. So there is employee number, employee name, there is a job, employee number, employee name, job, and there is one more which is called as a salary. Okay. So you are trying to input all this data. You are trying to input all this data. And after giving all this data, now you click on what is the button is submit. So once you click on the submit button, okay, once you click on submit button, so the request is sent. So that is once you click on the submit button, the request is sent to one view. See, this is a form. this is assume that this is which form? Employee form. Okay, so this employee form is rendered within the template. Okay, so once you click on the submit button, the request is sent to a view. Okay, now this is views.py. This data is input to one view. This data is given to one view. Okay, assume that this is one view called EMP view. Okay, EMP view. What this view will do is it will read this data and validate. Okay, read data and validate. So validate, is it this input data is correct or not? But how it will validate? By storing this data again into what? Form. See, form is used for doing two things. One is input and second one is validate. Form is used for doing how many operations? Two operations. You are trying to input here. You are trying to input and then you read the data. Again, you store this data into a form and then do what? Validate. So form is used for doing two things. One is for input and second one is reading data and validate. Read data. See, what you are doing is you are reading data and storing. Okay, and storing within. Okay, you are trying to store within. Okay, within what here? Form. You are reading data and store within the form and invoke which method? Which method? Is valid method. Is valid is valid method. What is valid method is do? It invokes validation methods. If all the data is valid, then it returns true, otherwise it returns false. If it is a true, you read the data and perform certain operations. If it is a false, okay, then you display the error message with the same template. You display the error message with the same template. Okay. Now this is what you are trying to do it. So you need to understand the form is used here. Form, always a form is used to perform two operations. One is for input and second one is for what? Validate. Here you input and here you validate by storing again into the form. You store the data again into the form and perform which operation? Validation. Input is done by the client, but validation is done by the server. Input is done by the client, but validation is done by the server. Input is done by the client, but validation is done by the server here. Okay. So let me first now see here. So let me develop this, but this is generic form. It means this form doesn't bind with the model. This form doesn't bind with the model, right? It is not bind with the model. We'll see how to work with the which form? Model form. It means a form which is bind with the model. Model is nothing but database where you can directly input the data within the database. But the way how you work with the gender normal form, in the same way you work with what? Model form. In the same way you work with the model form. Okay. Now here I'm trying to create a project. I'm saying a Django -admin and I'm saying start project. And what is your project is some project 17. Some project 17. Just open the project and inside the project create the applications. So Python manage.py start application 1. You can give any name, but here I've given my application name is application 1. So within the application 1, inside the application 1, create one module. Within the application one, create one module. What is a module you are creating? Forms.py. But by default, you don't get, when you create an application, you don't get what? Form. Why you don't get the form? Because it is it is application requirement or it is a programmer requirement where you develop a form using Django forms or you develop a form using what? HTML forms. Getting on. So because of that, you don't have any module called forms.py. I can directly write HTML form input type in the HTML only. But instead of writing in HTML, I'm using which form? Django form. I'm using which form? Django form. So that you put inside another module called forms.py. So import. Okay, from Django import. What do you import here? Forms. From Django import forms. Now you develop a form. So what is the class is? Employee form. Employee form is a forms dot which one? Form. Forms.form. Okay. So employee form is a form. Employee form is a form. Okay. Then in this form, you input the data or not? Yes. Then you have to define the input fields. Okay. So the way how you create a form in HTML by using input type, right? Huh? So for every field, it will create one input type. For every field, it will create one input type when it is rendered. When it is rendered, for every field, it will create one input type. Suppose here I am saying employee number is forms dot, which field it is? Integer field. Okay, it is integer field, but here I am not doing any validation. If you want, you can say integer field required equal to true. If I'm saying required equal to true, means is it this value is required or not? Yes. So all these are validation. Now I'm writing employee name. So forms dot, which field here? Character field. If I'm writing a maximum length, if I'm writing a maximum length, is it this maximum length is a validation or not? Yes. It means name should not exceed more than 40 characters. Name should not exceed more than 40 characters. Okay, more than 40 characters. Then job equal to forms dot character field, and I try to define the maximum length is some 20, and salary equal to forms dot, what is the name of this field is float field. I just define this as float field. So here the form is having how many fields now? Four fields. So when you insert this form into the template, when you render this form into the template, when you render this form into the template, for every field it will create inside the HTML, for every field it will create one input type. So input type, what is the input type is text. What is the name is ename. What is the name is ename. Okay. What is the maximum length is what? 40. So this is automatically created by your Django server or not? Yes. Okay, rendering is done at server side. This form is rendered at which side? Server side, and send in the form of HTML to whom? Client. Getting or not? So every input field is converted into an equivalent HTML tag. It will convert into equivalent HTML tag. So that is done by the server. That is done by the server. That is done by what is that method we are using? Render. What is the method you are using? Render here. Okay. Now I want to do some validations. Field level validation. Now employee name should not contain digits. Employee name should not contain digits and special characters. If you enter employee name with the digits and special characters, then it should raise what? Error. If employee name contain digits and special characters, it should raise what? Error. Then I'm writing one validation method. So validation method is prefixed with what here? Clean. Validation method is prefixed with what? Clean underscore. Clean underscore. What is the name of the field is? E-name. What is the name of the field is? E-name. So clean method is used for doing some validations or not? Yes. Clean underscore e-name. And it is an instance method. It is an instance method. And where this cleaned data is stored in one dictionary. This cleaned data is stored in one dictionary. You store the data in the form, right? And where the data is stored in the form in one attribute called which one? Cleaned data. It is stored in one attribute called which one? Cleaned data. You read the data. You read the data from which dictionary? Cleaned data. Now I'm saying e name. Any variable name you can give. E name equal to self dot. Self dot or super dot. No problem. Because if you say self refers to which object? Current object. And this object is inherit which class? Form class. Self refers to current object and that refers to which class? Form class. So within the form, from form, you are accessing which one? Cleaned data. What you are accessing? Dictionary. Okay, what is the name of the dictionary? Cleaned data. Dot, you can write get or you can read it by using which method? Yes, key. You can read it using key because it is dictionary or not. Yes. What cleaned data contain? The data which is stored in the form. The data which is stored in the form, that data is stored in which object? Cleaned data. So cleaned data dot get. Now what is the name of the field is? E-name. What is the name of the field is? E-name. Now you need to verify is it this name is valid or not. So if tell me the name should contain only alphabets. The name should contain only alphabets. If name doesn't have alphabets, then it should rise what? Error. It should rise the error. If not e name dot which one is alpha. If not, if not e name dot is alpha, then what do you say? Rise. Rise forms dot. Which error? Validation error. What is that error is? Now message is name, employee name must be alphabets. Employee name employee name must contains only alphabets. Only alphabets. Otherwise it should return this cleaned value or not? Yes. Okay, now this is which validation? Field level validation. So clean e name. Then next is I want to verify job. Okay, input job should be, assume that job should be either manager or clerk or HR. But if you input any other job, then it should rise what? Error. So then next one is job clean underscore which one? Job. See, for your understanding, I'm writing all this. Okay. So just to try to understand this. Because instead of using this input field as a character, you can take this input field as what? Choice. You can take this input field as what? Choice. Choice is nothing but drop down. And the drop down contain multiple values. But here I've taken the input field as which type of character field. Okay. Now clean job. And here I read the job. The job which is stored within the form by using cleaned data, by using what here? Self dot. Cleaned data dot get. What is the name of the field is? Job. If job not in, if job not, sorry, if job not in, if not in, what is this here? Manager, HR, manager, HR, clerk. Okay. So clerk. If it is not any one of this job, then rise. rise forms dot which error? Validation error. So job must be manager comma HR comma clerk. HR comma clerk. Okay. If it is valid, then return. What you return? Job. So what is the method you are using? Clean job. And what is the method you are using? Clean name. Understood? Then next one is suppose there is a salary. Now salary is a field. Now here also I want to do some validation, but I want to do which validation? Form level validation. Means I want to validate both. Suppose employee number as well as salary. Employee number as well as what? Salary. Okay. So for that, I'm overriding which method? Clean method. Overriding which method? Clean method. I override which method here? Clean method I over. This is actually overriding method. This is a overriding method. Overriding means you are modifying the method of which class? Super class within the subclass. What is the name of the method? Is clean. So actually, the validation is done by calling which method? Clean method. Validation is done by calling which method? Clean method. But are you override clean method or not? Yes. Then the overriding method should call which method? Overridden method also. Means you should call the method of which class? Super class. Because that will return which data? Cleaned data. Then here I'm writing a super dot which method? Clean method. Why we call this clean method of superclass? Because that returns the data which I input within the form. That will return the data which I input within the form. Okay. So this return, what it returns here? Cleaned data. This returns the cleaned data. So here you need to verify employee number as well as what? Salary. Okay, employee number. Suppose employee number should be greater than what? Zero. Employee number should be greater than zero. Employee number should not be negative. Will give employee number is -1, -2 like that. No. So employee number should be positive, but it should not be negative. It should not be negative. Then what I'm doing is here I'm trying to read cleaned data. That is, I read an employee number saying cleaned data dot get cleaned data dot get. What is the name of that field? Is field name is what? Employee number. Then salary equal to cleaned data dot get. What is the name of that field? Is salary. If employee number, if employee number is what? Less than or equal to zero. If employee number is less than or equal to zero, then what you are saying? Rise an error. What is that error? Forms dot, forms dot, forms dot what? Validation, validation error. Forms dot, validation error. Validation error. Forms dot, validation error. Now this is because it is which validation? Form level. Form level means you need to check only one condition. In one, you have to check how many? Two. How many fields you have to check here? Two. Suppose if employee number is less than zero, okay, if employee number is less than zero or if employee number is less than zero or salary, okay, salary is less than again what? Zero. Less than or equal to zero, then immediately you are raising which error? Validation error. Immediately you are raising which error? Validation error. Getting on it. Okay, if you want, you can write multiple conditions. If you want, you can write multiple conditions. Okay, now suppose here I'm trying to check. Okay, otherwise I'll try to check only one condition here. So if employee number is less than or equal to zero, then I'm raising one error. What is that error is? Employee number. Employee number should not, okay, should not be negative. It should not be a negative. Okay. Employee number should not be a negative. Then after that, what you are returning here? Employee number. You are returning employee number. So this is which method? Clean method. Actually, clean is a method of which class? Form class. Clean is a method of form class, and by overriding a clean method, you can do how many validations? Form level validation. Inside this method, you can read multiple fields. You can read multiple fields, and then you can read multiple fields and then check the validation. Okay, and then you can generate. You can generate what? Errors. So that can be either one error, that can be either more than one error. This is overriding method. Huh? Not required because this clean method returns cleaned data. Okay, this is local variable. This is local variable. But here are you call clean method? No. We directly saying self dot cleaned data. Okay, so what will happen first? First, will it do field level validations or form level validation? Form level, because first it will call which method? Clean method. First, it will call which method? Clean method. It will call the clean method. So that clean method returns which data? Cleaned data. And that cleaned data is used by field level clean methods. That cleaned data is used by which methods? Field level clean methods. Okay, na? So you have to understand this, how you are calling this methods. Which one? Forms dot validation error. So yeah, this is a clean is a method. Clean is a method of form django.forms.form. Django.forms.form. What is the name of the method is clean. So clean is a superclass method. See here. The form subclass clean method can perform validations that requires to access multiple form fields. If you want to do multiple forms, means if you want to do validations at multiple forms, then you need to call, see here, you need to call which method? Super dot clean. See here, you call the super dot clean and then you are trying to check, is it this is valid or invalid? Is it this is valid or invalid? Right? If it is valid, it returns which data? Cleaned data. Sorry, here. If it is valid, what you are returning? You are returning cleaned data. Otherwise, it rises what? Error. But I'm saying no, you need to check multiple conditions. You need to check multiple. Suppose if employee number is less than 0, then it will generate which error? Validation error. Or suppose employee number is valid, then next you check which one? Salary. If employee number is valid, then next you'll check which one? Salary. Suppose here I write one more condition. What is the condition is? If salary is less than or equal to what? 0. Then I'll say forms dot. What is the error is? Validation error. Then employee salary, employee salary should not be, salary should not be, what again? Negative. Employee salary also should not be negative. So this is the employee number. Otherwise, what it is doing, it is returning which data? Cleaned data. Understood? It returning clean data, otherwise it generates a error. If it generates error, is it stopped here only or not? Yes. Is it written is executed? No. Rise a keyword. What rise will do? Generate an error. Okay, rising is nothing but sorry. Rising is nothing but creating. What is it? What will happen in rise is it will create an object of which class? Error class. And after creating object of error class, it will give that object to whom? PVM. Then what PVM is looking for? Error handler. Is it error is handled within the same method? No. So rise will generate an error. Means somebody is calling this method or not? Yes. Who's calling this method? Who's calling this method? Who's calling this clean method? This clean method is called by which method? Is valid. This clean method is called by which method? Is valid. Is valid method calls which method? Clean method. Ring or not? So is valid returns true. When it returns true, if there is no error, raised by which methods? Clean methods. If there is an error, then what is valid method is returning? False. If it is a false, then you don't read the data because that data is not valid. Because that data is not valid. Okay, na? Yes. Then now once this is done, we use rise, right? Okay. Once this is done, this is developing a form. So in this, I used both, which validations, field level validations as well as form level validation. In form level validation, you can able to access multiple fields and do the validations. But field level means you do validation of one field. Then next what you do is create one template, create a template, create a folder. So what you do is create one folder at project level, container folder, and what is the name of this is templates. And within the templates folder, create one template, some EMP template, EMP template dot HTML. Now this template you are using it for input as well as this template you are using for input as well as this template is there. This is for input. Then validation is done at which side? Server side. यहाँ पे नहीं होता server side में होता. Validation is done at which side? Server side. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll try to read individual fields. We'll try to read individual fields from where? Form. We'll try to read individual fields from form. Understood? How can I read individual fields? Because this form is rendered inside this template or not? Yes. You are sending this form object from view to what? Template. Just see here. Otherwise, just see within the application one, I'm creating one view. This is which view? EMP view. And this is having a request. This is having a request. Now this EMP view handle how many requests? Two requests. Okay, one is reading and one more is what? Writing. One is reading and one more is what? Writing. Means I want to input the data. Then what you do it? You send a request to this view or not? Yes. Okay, you send a request to this view because I want to input the data. If you want to input the data, suppose if I say www.hdfc.com press enter, then that is the which request? Get request. Now it is sending that request to whom? View. And that view is generating one template or not? Yes. Where you input the data. Now that is called as which request? Get request. Typing URL within the browser is called get request. And clicking on hyperlink is called as which request? Get request. Now if the request method is get, you should create one blank form. You should create one blank form and you should render that blank form within the template. I should render that blank form within the template. When? If the request method is a get. If the request method is a post, means after sending the blank form, you enter the data. Who will enter? The client will enter the data and click on submit. When you click on submit, the request again come to the same view. Then in that case, I send a request by using which method? Post method. If the request method is post, you read the data from template and store in the form and check the validation. Store in the form and then check the validation. Getting or not? Okay. So please try to understand this. What I'm doing is if my condition is if request dot method double equal to which one? Post. If the request method is a post, what do you do? You create a form by storing input data. You create a form by storing input data. Yes. You create a form by storing which data? Input data. When if the request method is post. You need to understand this. Okay. So create a form. So create form. Then this is a form. Form equal to import. Form from application one dot forms import. Which form? Employee form. Employee form. I'm creating an employee form here. Employee form by storing the data or not? Yes. Which data? Post data. It means we populate the form by storing data. Then after storing the data, you need to check, is it this data is valid or not? If form dot is valid, is underscore what is it? Valid. If it is valid, what do you do it? If it is a valid, what do you do it? You generate one success page. You render one success page. Okay, you generate one page where you display these are my employee details. Okay, these employee details are valid. Otherwise, you generate one form. Which form? Error form. That is which form? Error form. You render that form into the template. So try to understand this. Form equal to employee form request dot post. If form dot is valid, okay, is valid. What I'm doing is I'm trying to say response. I'm writing a response equal to render request comma some HTML page. What is that? Success page. This is what here? Success page s.html. Okay, now I'm not sending any data. Then return. What do you return here? What do you return here? Response. You return the response. Now this is success page. Okay, otherwise, now this form contains some errors or not? Yes. Then you render this form within the template. Which template? emp template dot html. Else, I'm saying a response equal to render request comma what is the name of this is emp template dot html. You are sending the form, but this form contains some errors. This form contains some errors. This form is having some errors. emp template dot html and then context equal to form, and then what is the name of the object is form. Okay, then return. What do you return here? Response. Now this is when if the request method is what here? Post. You can customize this, but for your understanding, I've written like this because this is which method? Post method. This is which method? Post method. Else, if the request method is a get, what do you do it? You create one empty form. You create one empty form. Form equal to which form? Employee form. This is the empty form and render this response equal to render. Okay, emp underscore template dot html request comma emp template dot html, and you are sending the context parameters. That is form comma what is the name of the object? Form. Huh? What happened here? Response. Huh? Any block response. Okay. An if also. Okay. Huh? Context. Hmm? Context. Form. Colon. key and value, and return what is that? Response. But this is which form? Blank form. This is which form? Blank form. This is a blank form. Otherwise, it will render which form? Error form. This is a blank form and this is which form? Error form. But both you can handle it in one form only. But for your understanding, I've written if and this is post method and this is get method. This is a post method and this is what here? Get method. Now here, what you have to do in the template is you have to display, you have to render, you have to display the form. You have to display the form or not? Yes, you have to display the form. So how can I display the form? I can display the form as a table, but what I want is I want to display even error fields. Even I want to display which field? Error field. Errors also I want to display. Now can I display this form fields individually or not? Yes. By using which object? Form object. I can use a form object. Form object. Form object is having label tag. Form is having what? Label tag. Form is having input tag. What is the input tag is? Field name. What is a label tag is? How can you get the label tag? By using form dot field name dot label tag. Form dot field name dot label tag. Let me insert all this. Now I am writing here some division. Now first I want display. Now this is a form. This is what here? Form. So form action. Form method. Form method equal to which one? Post. Form method equal to post. Means when you submit the form, it will send the request. It will send the request to the viewer by using which method? Post method. It will submit this form to the view by using which method? Post method. So I take some division and here I am writing first is employee number. How can I get the employee number? Insert. What do you insert? Form dot employee number dot what is this here? Label tag. What is the name of this is? Form dot employee number dot which tag? Label tag. Means which label you take? Employee number table. Which label you have taken? Employee number label. Form dot. What is the name of the object is? Form. What is the name of the object is? Form. Form dot employee number dot label tag. Means first you display the label. First you displayed which one? Label. Label you displayed. Okay, then after this, okay, now after this, I'm writing a form dot employee number. What is employee number is? Input field. Employee number is which field? Input field. Employee number label tag display what? Label. Label tag display what? Label. Label. You have a label tag or not? Yes. What is the default label? Field name only. What is the default label is? Field name. But can you define your own label? Yes. You can define your own label at the time of creating field. You can define your own label at the time of creating field. But is it employee number is having any validation? Yes, but this is which validation? Form level validation. It is which validation? Form level validation. Now I'm not writing. Now I take another division. See, you can render it directly by saying form as a paragraph, form as a table, form as a unordered list. Okay, but I'm inserting all these fields individually by reading from where? Form. You can directly, if you want, you can do it by saying form as a table. Form as a table. But I want to display error. Suppose if employee name is invalid, below that, I want to display what? Error. If the job is invalid, below that, I want to display what? Error. Then how can I display the error? By inserting these fields individually. By inserting these fields what? Individually. Because if I say form as a table, it will convert into table. But where should I display the errors? Because that is predefined layout or user defined? Predefined. That layout is predefined. But now this layout is predefined or user defined? User defined. So I am reading individual labels and individual fields, I am displaying it. Okay, then form dot employee name dot label underscore which one? Tag. Label tag and form dot e name. This is input field and this is label. This is input and this is label. And this is in label and this is input. Now below this are side because are you insert a new line? No. So first it will display label. First it will display label. This is label and this is input field. And here I want to display error. Or below this I want to display what? Error. I want to display error inside this. Okay, below this. Then I take one more division. I take another div. Okay, now here I want to display the error. Here I want to display the error. Error I want to display here. Okay, error I want to display the error here. When should I display the error? If there is error. If there is a error, then only I should display the error. If there is no error, will display the error? No. Correct or not? So if now you should check the condition. So Django template language, it is provided one tag. What is the name of the tag is if. What is the name of the tag is if form dot what is the name of the field is e name dot errors. If there is an error, then what do you do it? Insert the error. If there is an error, insert what? Error by saying form dot e name dot what is the name of this errors. Insert the error. If there is an error, insert the error. What is that errors? Errors will return what? Error message. Errors returns what here? Error message. What is the error message is? Employee name should not contain digits and special character. Employee name should contain only alphabets. If is end with what here? End if. So there is a beginning of if and there is what? End of the if. Now you want some color. Now error you want in red color. What do you do it? Take a style tag. Tell me here. CSS style class. Okay. Class. This is which selector? Class selector. Error or ERR. Anything you take. ERR. Then here you define the color. Color is red. Red. Okay. Semicolon. Yes or no? No. Huh? Yes or no? Semicolon is there. Okay. Then font size. Font size. कितना देंगे? हाँ? 15 हाँ? Okay. Over हाँ? Big size. Pixels Pixels only. Now, otherwise character size only it will take, right? Default is character, no problem, right? Huh? Why you want in pixels? But if I write 14, what is a 14 is? Character size. It takes in characters only, right? So is it required? No. No problem. Then apply. Division. What is a class selector is? Class selector is what? ERR. ERR or errors? ERR. ERR. Define ERR. Okay. So this is displaying which one? Employee name. Okay, right? Then next, so next what you have to do? You have to display the job and then salary. Take another division. Okay, take another division. Okay, so division, what you are inserting? Form dot, what is this? Job dot, label tag. Label tag, inserted label tag, form dot job. This is input field. This is what here? Input field. You want to format this input fields also, labels also, then you can format by taking another class selector. Take another class selector and do it. Then inside this, again I write one more division. Okay, right? Now here, then class. What is the class is? ERR. Then here you are checking the condition if a form dot job dot errors. If there is error, if there is an error, then display the error. Form dot job dot errors. Form dot job dot errors. And if is end with what here? End if. So for is end with and for. If is end with end if. Over. Then next division. So division and insert. Form dot salary. Sorry. Form dot salary dot label tag. Label tag. Label tag and form dot salary. This is input field. This is input field. Take now this is form level, right? These are form level or not? Yes. So form level means you try to display at the end of the form. You try to display at the end of the form all the errors below the form. Below the form you display all the errors. Okay, right? Yes. But actually this errors is a list which contain more than one error. If it may contain one error or more than one error. So for job in errors means if list is empty, not empty, not empty. If it is empty, it returns false. If it is not empty, it returns true. You know that? Okay. Suppose string is empty. If I say, if I say, what do you call it as Boolean of? If I'm saying if string is empty, Boolean of string, what it returns true or false? False. If the list is empty, if I say Boolean of list, will it return true or false? False. If the list contain any elements, then only it returns true. Understood? Huh? So if always used for checking some condition. Now this is a list. Actually, this is a list. Understood? Huh? This is a list which contain one or more than one error. Right? So errors dot. If errors dot, then so after displaying this division, after this form, I'll try to display all the errors. Which errors? Form level errors. Which errors? Form level errors. But where this form level errors get stored in non-field. What is that? Non-field. I'm using a for loop. So for forms dot non-field. Non-field. Because there is no field name, right? If it is a field name, error is stored with field level validation is stored with error attribute at which level? Field level. But this is field level or form level? Form level. Then where it will store all these errors in one field? Which field it is? Non-field. There is one field. What is the name of this is? Non-field dot errors. So this contain one error or more than one error? More than one error. So see this is what do you call it as error? Error in forms dot non-field dot errors. Means every time you are reading one error and you are inserting here. You are inserting that error. You are inserting the error and you are closing this by saying for is end with what? And for. For is end with the and for. So remaining all form level errors you displayed below the form. Remaining all form level errors you display below the form. Below the form. See, this is form dot non-field dot errors. Non-field, because this is field level error, right? This is field level validation and field level validation. generate an error, but that error is held by which field? Same field. But this is which validation? Form level validation. And form level validation contain one field or multiple fields? Multiple fields. Then is it any specific field name you give? No. Then there is one field, there is one predefined field called which one? Non-field. Non-field dot which one? Error. Non-field dot error. See, this is one attribute. I think if it is there here, I'll non-field forms dot form dot form dot form dot non-field. See here, form dot non-field errors Django. See here. So Django forms dot non-field errors as a text. So you can convert all the errors into what here text is here. In Django, non-field errors are form level errors that are specific to a single input field, not specific to a single input field. This often arise form validation logic involving which fields? Multiple fields. Non-field errors. Here, how can you get this here? This is which validation? Form level validation. And this fields, non-fields, now what you are saying for error in form dot non-field underscore which one? Errors. Non-field underscore which one? Errors. But what I said here? Dot. So non-field, what is that here? Errors. Then every time it will read one error and you are trying to display it. Every time you are reading an error and you are trying to display. Okay, na? So that is the difference between field level validation and one more is what? Form level validation. Field level validation and one more is a form level validation. Okay. So every time you are reading an error and you are trying to display it. You can display all the errors as a paragraph, right? So this is how you can check the errors. And one more is, I said just now, form dot. What is that name is? Field name dot. What is the name of this is? Error in Django. So every form field is having an error. See here. Django form dot field name dot error is a standard attribute but refers to how you can access the error message for the specific field within the form. Within the form, you are trying to say form dot my field name dot what is that? Errors. Understood? Right? This is what I said in this. Clear? So when you are displaying the errors, if there is an error, if there is no error, are you displaying the errors? No. Clear? Okay. Then next is view. And is it this view is clear? Okay. Then that's all. Okay. That's all. Right? So this view is called using how many request methods? Two request methods. One is get post. Okay. Now see. Define the URL. Up to this clear? Bolo yaar. Huh? Okay. You have to practice once. Huh? Settings.py. Just go to the projects and use settings.py and install the application. So just install the application one and define the template path base directly slash which one? Templates. Okay, right? Then after that, define the URLs. So define the path. So what is the path is EMP. If I don't write anything, it is which request? Default is send a request to which view? EMP view, or I'll call it. So what is the name I'm giving? EMP view. So from application one dot views import EMP view. Import EMP view. And what is the name of the view is? EMP view. That's all. Understood? Right? So anything else? Submit button is not there. अरे क्या यार submit ही नहीं है. So division, then input type equal to submit. That's all. Input type equal to submit. Okay. Anything else? कुछ बोला है क्या? No. Input type is a submit. हाँ. Submit value क्यों? बटन का डिस्प्ले सबमिट ही आता ना. What is the default value of submit button? Submit. Okay, right. No problem. You want, I'll give you value. Value equal to submit. Submit. Value equal to submit. Okay. Yes. Then next is anything. You need to run the server. We'll run the server and then we'll check. So Python manage.py run server. So there is only one view, and what is the name of the view is EMP view. But actually we have not done any formatting here. Oh, this is what? Job. Job not inserted. Huh? Label not inserted. Label tag per job. Job label spelling. Okay. But it is not done formatting, right? So you have to do formatting. Okay. No, I have not done any formatting. Okay. You can style it. Styling CSS. Huh? So here you have an employee numbers. You have to input employee number, employee name, job, and one more is a salary. Okay. Suppose I input employee number, I input employee name, I input the job, input the job, input the job, and input which one? Salary. So once you enter this here, when you enter the request first by typing slash EMP view and press enter, it is send a request to which view? EMP view. This request is which request? Get request. If it is get request, it is execute if block or else block? Else block. And in else block, you are creating which form? Blank form. And that blank form is rendered within the template and send it to client or not? Yes. Then here you enter the data. Here you enter the data and click on submit. Once you click on submit, is it submitting the request to the same view or different view? Same view. Submitting the request to what? Same view. It is submitting this form to same view or different view? Same view. But this time what is the request method is post. Then it will execute if block or else block? If block. It will execute which block? If block. Correct or not? It will execute if block, and within if block, what you are doing? You are reading this data. You are reading this data and storing in the form. You are reading this data. See here, within the if block, if the request method is post, you are reading this post data and storing in which form? Employee form, and then you are checking it. Is it this data is valid or not? If the data is valid, then you are rendering which template? s.html. Okay, but are you created this? No. Create this template. What is the template is? s.html. This is s.html. Okay. So here I just display one message saying that okay. So some valid data. That's it. This data is valid. Okay. So this template, I'm displaying it and click on submit. Oh, we forgot to write one. What is that? So whenever you send the data using which method? Post method, you have to generate one key token, CSRF token, CSRF token. You have to generate cross-site request forgery token. Refresh this, continue. Mistake, huh? We'll start again, huh? So run the server. Okay. Now you are submitting or you are sending a request to which view? EMP view. If you press enter, it will send a request to which view? EMP view. This is which request? Get request. And get request, are you getting the empty form or not? Yes. This is empty form where you enter the employee number, you enter the name, job as well as salary and click on submit. Once you click on submit, cleaned data. Where is the mistake is in form. Form cleaned. Clean किधर clean है here. Cleaned data. Huh? Cleaned data. Cleaned data. Okay. So written cleaned data. This is error. So I will try to, so is valid, but I should call, yes, this method. So we'll send a request again. So what is this now? EMP view, enter the details, employee number and click on submit. Is this data is valid or not? Yes. Now Naresh 123. Now if I click on submit, you can see employee name must contain only alphabets. So this is an error message or not? Yes. Okay, now I just remove this. I remove this and click on submit. This data is what now? Valid. Correct or not? Suppose I just enter the accountant. What is this values? Account and click on submit. You can see job must be manager or HR or clerk. Then I'll try to input the job as a HR. And employee salary is some minus 100. Salary is what? Minus 100 and click on submit. Employee salary should not be negative. We have not applied style. We have not applied style. And if I write here minus 1 and submit, you can see employee number should not be negative. Correct or not? Employee number should not be negative. And if I'm trying to write here minus 2000, if I say submit, then first this two should be valid. Then only it will check which one? Salary. Because what is the first condition is if employee number. What is the second condition is salary. Okay, na? Right. So this is how you are trying to check the validation at which level? Form level as well as what? Field level. Clear? Okay. So this is about working with normal form. Now you can check the validation by using one attribute called validator. There is one attribute called validate. Then how can I create custom validations and how to work with the predefined validations? Predefined validation means every field is having some predefined validations. Then we'll see how to work with the predefined validators. But that we'll see tomorrow, right? So today we'll stop here and tomorrow we'll continue this, right? Thank you. Uploaded. But another link is there. You ask, admin will give you. Yeah, tell me, Rakesh. Tell me, Rakesh. You can put in short window. You can just put in chart window. I'll give the mic. You want mic? बोलो यार. No. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Yes. But already. वही see अभी वही बताया मैं. So that is when you run this, here I said EMP view, right? So this is which request get a form A. So when you click on submit, it is submitting to what? Same URL. URL is what? EMP view only. So you don't require to give action. If you want, you can give action, no problem.